You ready to do this thing?
Let's get into it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sweaty Casuals, brought to you by Snowflake Sanctuary Discord server. This is a podcast where we usually talk about the games where we love to play, from the state of ranked systems to our thoughts on the newest sensations and everything in between. My name is Tyler, along with my co-hosts this time, Zach and Knox. We will be your guide as we traverse Elo Hell. A small reminder, we do swear, so viewer discretion is advised. Don't smile at me like that. You make me feel like I'm some little kid that's all excited.
We have a new co-host.
We're not joined by any guests today because I couldn't think of a joke fast enough off the top of my head. But anyway, we are going to be talking about what did I say it was for today?
Open world gaming.
You're starting really strong on your first episode.
I bet I am, and I wrote it. Today we're going to be talking about the evolution of open world games, from GTA to Zelda and everything in between. I wanted to know, if you guys could live in any open world game for a day, what would you choose and why?
My answer is Animal Crossing. Now, I have thought this all the way through.
That's
valid. A lot of people will say, well, you're just going to get extorted by Tom Nook. That's fine. Do you ever played that game? You can make so much money so fast. It's not hard. Go shake some trees and grab some fruit.
Would you keep the ability to time travel?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. But even if I didn't, it's such a cute little world. I get to be on a cute little island with all my friends. I get to craft things. I love craft. Like, those are some of my hobbies. I don't know. I'm getting too into this. I love Animal Crossing. I think it'd be so fun. You get to go fly to other islands and meet new friends. It's a good time. Zach, what are you thinking? There's one right answer for you. I still stand by that.
So my first thought actually was Kerbal Space Program.
Well, that wasn't my answer that I thought of. It's valid.
And then I was like, as fun as it would be to, like, my only point in existence would be to build rocket ships. Exploding wasn't on my to-do list, which is pretty likely in that universe. The second answer would be probably
if you're building the rockets, maybe.
Pokemon Arceus. That was the correct answer. Good job.
Good. Not necessarily even Arceus. Maybe like Scarlet Violet, but something in that realm.
If I could be in Grand Theft Auto, specifically an online private lobby as my character, that's what I would go with. That's a lot of money.
You don't want an open lobby?
No. Kind of the same process, your same thought process there. I don't want to blow up. It's not on my to-do list. But drive really fast cars? Yeah, sure.
So you bring up GTA.
Yeah.
As where you'd want to live. And I know when you were kind of leading us into this, you were talking about how, for a day, but you were talking about how, if we're talking about the evolution of open world games, the first one you brought up is GTA.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the first one you've played? Is that the first one you remember? Do you think that's the first landmark one? Why bring up GTA?
Going off of, like, my memory, I don't even remember if this was like an open world game. I kind of feel like it was from what I remember. But Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. That was a dude with little boomerangs, right? That was for Zach only, because I don't know if Knox knows that one.
Like, the name it sounds familiar, and I can't picture what it looks like at all.
If you saw, you'd be like, oh yeah, I remember. He's the one that has all the different, like, boomerangs that have different powers and stuff.
Oh, you're right. No, you're so right.
Kick the main boss's ass over the cream corn. I don't actually remember if it was cream corn, but...
oh, okay. I know why I don't really know this at all.
You didn't play PlayStation?
No, wait, no. Yeah, I didn't play PlayStation, but
Yeah.
apparently they also had a bunch of GameCube games, which. Oh, and it was on Xbox. Yeah, like this looks like vaguely familiar, and at the same
Yep.
time, I'm like, I have no idea what this is.
That was like the first game I remember playing. That was like real open world, but it wasn't really like open world at the time. The one I
Mhm.
really remember being was Skyrim. It was the first one I got into. It's like you're loading in and you're like, see that mountain right there? I'm gonna climb that mountain. You know, on a horse. Completely vertical.
Yeah,
Um,
avoiding some
but
cheese wheels at the same time.
GTA just specifically because I hit the lottery really early and I have way too much money in that game. And I
I
will
mean,
find
GTA
any
is
excuse to
also
bring it up.
like they've had such a long history of being an open world game.
Yeah.
Even if you go back to Vice City and before, like if it
Mhm.
wasn't open world, it definitely felt like it.
Being in a GTA 4 and going to the part of map that wasn't unlocked yet because you didn't complete the main mission and you immediately get 6 stars.
Mm-hmm.
You remember those days? Me and my friend used to do this thing where we would pull like the way we'd swap off because it wasn't multiplayer was when you died you gave the other person the controller. And when the first time I got it, I was over at his house. He was playing it, and the first time I got to play it, he was like he was all mad because he had just died from some stupid reason. But I stole a helicopter, started flying it around, didn't have any stars. And he goes, "Oh, fly over to that bridge over there." And I flew over to the bridge and immediately got 6 stars and got shot down. And he was like, "All right, my turn." I was like, "You're such a piece of shit." Oh, good times. Nox, you picked Animal Crossing. What was your reasoning behind that?
I went into it. Fun,
I guess you did.
easy,
I went into
peaceful.
mine, but mine was more just mine
I
was
don't know.
for greedy reasons.
I was trying to remember some early open world games that I played,
hmm
but I was exclusively Nintendo Wii until 2016, which does really shrink the pot of what my options were. The only
Yeah.
thing I could come up with, and it's really up to debate if you want to consider this open world. Prior to this episode, we were kind of having that discussion of like what makes open world versus when does it get to sandbox, when does it become more of a too linear to be open world. But the only one I can really remember was Super Mario Galaxy, which kind of falls into the same thing as Super Mario Odyssey, which they are linear and you go to different worlds, but you can go back and forth and you kind of have some agency over what you're doing.
hmm
But other than that, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I can't really remember any other things on the Nintendo Wii from that time that were truly open world.
Skyward Sword.
That sounds like something 10-year-old Knox was playing.
Twilight Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's interesting. I just pulled up a list of like open world
Actually,
games.
yeah, I could say Twilight Princess would be. I don't remember that one as well. My earliest one that I can think of that I like fell in love with was Wind Waker, which is still a phenomenal game. Part of the reason is just because you can get in a boat and go wherever you damn well please.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm Oblivion, Fallout 3, World of
Yeah,
Warcraft.
why not?
Um, what's the new Star Wars? Was it Old Republic?
Knights of the Old Republic, KTOR,
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one.
KOTOR, KOTOR. Sorry.
They're gonna be so mad in the comments, man.
They're coming
So
for you.
mad.
I'm waiting for Bandito to just suddenly pop up in this chat.
He's like,
Um,
I heard ringing.
He sensed
I
a
sense a disturbance in the force.
I just felt Sukuna's presence. What the hell is going on in the chat above? I have been watching way too much Jujutsu Kaisen, but that's something for the end of the episode. Uh, um,
Yeah, I didn't do much KOTOR, but like the fact that that game still has a dedicated following
Oh yeah,
20 years later,
yeah.
like, just speaks volumes to.
Because that was the company that was given the developing rights for Anthem
Oh, was
after
it?
it collapsed. Yes,
Oh.
because they're all owned under EA, and so when
Mhm.
it collapsed, they were like, the whole developing team was like, we don't want to work on this anymore because all the joy has been sucked out of it, and we have crying closets now. It's your guys' business, and they went, why? We already have a stable game that people love and have had one for decades. But no, I don't know. I guess to kind of get into the evolution of things, we kind of talked about like the earliest ones that we can remember. Just kind of diving in. Um, for everyone here played Skyrim.
I didn't.
What? Nox, you haven't played Skyrim?
Do I look?
Yep, YouTube short right there.
No.
I'm gonna need that as a sound bite. Do I look? Not very mindful, not very demure.
I literally just went on a rant how I didn't have a console outside of a Nintendo Wii until 2016.
Skyrim's on fucking it's on
fridges.
Switch.
I couldn't
That's
even
fair.
tell you what you do in that game, to be so real.
Really?
And I don't know if I've ever admitted that out loud because we've talked a lot about Skyrim, and I just sit here and I go,
Skyrim's great.
Could have asked at some point.
Nah, but I feel like it's true. I feel like I want to talk about just kind of like, okay, have you played the Fallout games? Nox?
I lost you for about 20 seconds there. I have no idea what just happened.
You played
Y'all
Fallout.
froze.
Really? Okay. I thought you were just hitting me with the
No.
unk status there for a second.
No, y'all froze. I was lifting up my phone because I was about to message you guys to be like, I don't know what just happened to my Wi-Fi.
No, have you played like any of the Fallout games?
I've watched people play Fallout.
Okay, that's something.
All right, we can go. I'm
think
afraid to
what
ask
did I
this
watch?
next question.
I think I watched Fallout 4.
Okay.
Were you
I
in
was
Boston?
going to talk about kind of how
Yeah.
how open world games have changed from like, being Fallout 4, Fallout 3, or even Red Dead Redemption to things like what's the name of that one game that flopped and is now pretty decent now? Hold on, it's gonna bother me.
Oh gosh, yeah. Spaceships flying around.
Yep.
Yes,
sir.
Not Starfield.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah. Just kind of like, I don't know, especially like they've gotten a lot closer to where they are now. They're a lot closer to where they said they would be at release.
How long has the game been out?
It's been 4 years now? 3 years?
No, 5? It's gotta be more.
Is it more than that?
I remember seeing No Man's Sky stuff when I had my PlayStation.
Yeah, well, they've been talking.
Well, they went on like a huge thing. Like
they had
It
like
was
4
released
years of people just
8
talking about it.
years ago.
It was 8 years ago.
oh,
Yes.
Jeez. Okay.
2016, because it was when I bought my PlayStation, because that was one game that I considered getting. And I did not.
Oh my god, I was still in high school.
Now, in fairness to them, like that was a game that released and flopped because it deserved a flop.
Right.
And they have not. What is it? Hello Games, I think, is the developer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have not stopped. They've kept going, and even within like a year and a half of release, I was already hearing good, positive things about the game. The fact that it's still getting updates is actually kind of magical.
Oh yeah, no, it's still got a huge player base for a game that failed that hard right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look here. If I can spell today.
Yeah, who needs that?
Player count.
I do think that there is something to mention though, and like there are some games that really do benefit from being open world, and there are other games that don't.
It's about 12,000. Okay, actually, I want to dive into that. What's your thought process there? Like,
So I recently, we're not doing an episode on it quite yet, but I recently finished Jedi Survivor, and definitely has more of an open world feeling than the first one.
right?
The first one definitely kind of pushes you into certain areas, whereas this one kind of sticks you on a very big map for at least 2 worlds. But man, a lot of those 2 worlds to me felt like blank space in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like they were too big.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm cool with, oh yeah, I can go run around on this planet or that planet and really kind of dig into some deep little treasures and trinkets and collectibles and bounty pucks and whatever else might be there. But on the flip side, like one of the things that made the first game so great wasn't necessarily all the collectible hunting. It was how good the story was and how great the gameplay felt. And this was an element of the gameplay that didn't feel fun.
I say this as someone who didn't finish the second one yet because I need a controller. From what I've heard about the story in the second one, I still stand by it. I said this when I finished the first game. The ending was ass.
Oh, the first one?
Him destroying it so they didn't have the map gave them
We're going to do a whole episode on it. So
are we?
I'm just putting an opinion out there that
game companies?
That was an awful decision story-wise.
I'd say it's
in my opinion,
6-year-old game.
I'll be so real with you. If it gets picked up to be brought into like a TV show or some sort of Disney Plus,
as long as the next one does well. Survivor did well, so
yeah, they'll probably retcon. I'll be so real with you.
Well,
I don't think so.
You had a whole. I'm not going to get into it. That's such a deep rabbit hole.
It is a really deep rabbit hole, and we have it. It's been slated. It's been slated to be an episode.
Yeah, then I gotta finish. I'm just gonna watch somebody play the game. I'm just gonna watch somebody
replay the game.
Great.
I was gonna say I need to replay it anyway.
Great.
I will say playing it on one of these on a portable keyboard is an awful experience. I don't recommend.
I would.
Playing it on a keyboard, period, is an awful experience.
It's doable.
No, it is not.
I just did it about Hogwarts Legacy, but I can't play it on controller.
When I have more than 5 buttons I gotta know, give me a controller. Otherwise, I'm gonna be in that options menu. And that's why I can't go back to it, because every time I go back to it, I have to relearn everything. Because I can't remember 2 buttons, let alone 6, let alone the combos, please.
Get real.
I was gonna say there were a few things that I kind
of. Do I look like?
There were a couple of things that I was like, oh, I could do that. I don't feel like doing it. What was it? One of the first things you learn is how to confuse enemies.
Yeah.
And the default mapping is control, and I was like, I don't feel like reaching over there.
Oh yeah, no. On controller, it's just one of the bumpers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, steering this back.
Yeah.
Because I've derailed us. So sorry. It will happen again. I would agree. From what I've played of that game, there is so much space and so many things to do and so many things. I think what frustrates me about open world games that have such big areas is that in very early stages of the game, there might be a path or not achievement, but something to go do that you really have to wait until you're higher level or more further into the game and have more tech before you can accomplish. And there is something very early in Survivor that it's like within the first 3 hours that you cannot do at the level you're at. I stand by that.
A lot of stuff you can't do in the first 3
hours. I was gonna say, but I mean, I think part of that is when you have really good game design, where it's like, oh yeah, you need this item to get over there. Like that is the way that you can kind of lock levels a little bit.
Right, but the game does nothing to tell me that. I'm sitting there looking at this enemy going, I should be able to do this because I found it at this point in the game. and I've been able to get to it at this point in the game. Now, granted, I wish I would have recorded that moment when I tried to do it because it was fucking hilarious. But
so there, I just kind of defend my one of my all-time favorite games ever.
please.
The size of the map is almost needed because of the size of the puzzles it gives you. Because otherwise, all the puzzles become really repetitive. Where it's like, okay, I whip out BD1 and I tell him to shoot into that, and then boop, it opens a chest. So they added a new feature which you don't get until like the very end of the game, where he can shoot like this, like space crud, and if it hits one of the lasers that they have for some of them, it'll ignite it like black powder, like gunpowder.
Yeah,
I guess.
Kinda,
Yeah, and
burn
so
things.
some of the puzzles on that main big one, you have to. It's essentially a timing puzzle, and then you have to like spray it in a certain way so that you have just enough time. But the puzzles also open up the map, open up the area. So like in the town, it's because there's all this stuff like covering like one of the big buildings and stuff like that. So after you complete that puzzle at the end of the game, as time goes on, the the little critters there in the town that will rebuild that building and like re-inhabit it. So it's kind of cool. There's some fun stuff like that.
Mhm.
We are going to do a whole episode on it, so we should probably
Yeah.
move to
Well, I was
other
just
games.
speaking for the open worldness of it, of why it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
big.
100%.
And I'm not saying that there's like all of it's bad. I think that
Mhm.
some of it was good decisions. I just feel like that was one game where in some ways it did feel like it hurt the game.
I think they had all the talkable, and I get why they did it, because it's a pain in the ass to load and jump to different worlds and stuff like that. So they were trying to bring all the NPCs to one area, and
Mhm.
that one area where everyone was had the biggest area to explore.
Mhm.
So that makes sense.
As a general note, I actually want to give a huge prop to Respawn for doing the way that they do game loading in that game. There are so many clever tricks that are just beautifully done. Like when you jump to a new world, you're in hyperspace. That is the loading screen. You're in the ship
yeah.
in hyperspace.
Yeah.
If they're trying to load a different part of the map, they do one of those ones where you have to like crawl through.
Mm-hmm.
That's why those exist, is so they give you time, give the game time to load the next part of the map.
I mean, they weren't like, creating anything new there.
No, it's in the
Bungie's
first
been doing it for years.
Yeah, but it's so well executed.
Yeah.
I never
Like-
had a thing where I was like, oh yeah, that asset's missing.
Yeah, Destiny 1 was one of those games where it was open world, but it couldn't run on the game engine, so they made it so that the game only renders what's in the player's FOV.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, every time you look away from something, it stops rendering. And so it would kind of draw it along as you moved and stuff like that, which is fucking insane to do when you're thinking about it for a first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But they made it work. And Destiny is a really smooth game. Like, if you've got a
I haven't played much of Destiny 2, but I will say
Destiny
the game
2
experience on that is actually, that's a
Mhm.
big open world game. That's a huge open world game.
Yeah, Destiny 2 is another one of those games where I think we've talked about it, but I like how this. I'm just now thinking about this. When you have three of the hosts and doing one episode, this episode just becomes a discuss what we're going to talk about in later episode.
So welcome to our pitch meeting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Destiny, these ones, that's weird because I've thought about it a couple times, and
Mhm.
I don't think any of us have really put in a ton of time in that game. Have you?
No.
How much time have you put in?
Destiny 1 or Destiny 2?
Destiny 2. Because I think there's definitely things to be discussed there. I mean, the game is how many years old now?
I have 327 hours, which personally
Okay.
is not a lot for me, but I know for some people that is a lot.
I think I've got like 10 hours or 12 hours in it.
Okay, yeah, you're making me feel a little bad about myself. That's okay.
Don't. There's a guy I know who's got like probably 3,000 hours in it.
I can look at what my buddy who. Let's see. He still regularly plays this game. Let's see how many. What is profile? What the heck are you doing?
But what I think is a good thing to say would be open worldness is a thing that benefits Destiny 2 in a huge way. You know, you have a game like Borderlands. Borderlands would actually be a good example to kind of compare and contrast. I'm not a big Borderlands fan. I'm not a big looter shooter person in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like Borderlands is a game that like pops off as soon as the game comes out and then dies down a month later. And that's because even though it's open world and it's a looter shooter, like the really truth of the matter is like there's only so many things to do in the game.
Yeah.
Whereas like with Destiny, between the DLCs and the fact that the maps are so big, and the fact that there's so much you can do, and the fact that there's PvP, and there's so many other little elements to it,
and the story is
like
fantastic.
And the story is great. I mean, gosh, the voice acting alone is phenomenal.
Except for Dinklebot, but yeah. Rip Dinklebot.
I actually liked his voice acting, but then maybe that's
I loved it. It's R.I.P.
When I did the tutorial, like one of the first comments out of my mouth was, "My God, this game has no right for the script to be written this well."
Yeah, no.
Because everything just feels like a natural dialogue.
Now I'm thinking about it, a lot of the major open world games we've talked about, they're pretty decent scripts.
A lot of them, yeah. Well, I think the ones that don't have it don't tend to succeed. But what I was gonna say is like Borderlands, you have like that month where everybody wants to play it, and then it just disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Like people will talk about Borderlands fondly, but nobody's actually going back and being like, "Yeah, I really want to play Borderlands again." Whereas like Destiny, the people who play that game, they're playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it.
Yeah, it's because they're glued to their chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have become one with the Secret Labs chair.
Not sponsored. Not sponsored.
Nope. Please, but if you do, I need a new desk and a new computer.
Yeah, that one sucks.
Huh?
I said that one over there, that sucks. Why do you think I'm in the armchair all the time?
That's fair. This is my Wally World branded one. But you know what?
Staples.
That was from Jeff
My
Bezos.
chair can, in fact, do it can't do that, but it can go most of the way.
I'll just do the episode from down here.
Yeah, not all of us are fortunate enough to have the lazy boy.
You drive like that too, with like the seat. Except it's just
sorry, audio listeners.
Fucking show tunes.
You know, it is not that, and you know it. It is what it has been for the last 4 months, which is the 21 Pilots discography on repeat.
I watched. Never mind. We'll get into that later.
We're gonna put on the Hamilton soundtrack later and change that.
Okay.
No, Destiny would be such a good example of like that's an open world game that actually takes the philosophy of do everything, be able to go anywhere, and there's value in it, especially because there are looter shooter mechanics where you can go play like, I want to go do this raid 7 times over to try and get the best version of this weapon so I can go and do PvP and be viable.
That's awesome that you think it will take 7 times.
Oh, I know it's more than that, but
yeah.
Well, you guys were talking about open world games that had good writing, good scripts, good story. I want to talk about one that has none of that at all and is still super popular.
Go ahead.
Are you thinking Minecraft?
Why is Minecraft still so popular?
We had a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the open world aspect of it.
No,
though.
we didn't. We kind of didn't. I mean, like,
I think that's one where we're on that line of like open world sandbox.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, it's like we were like with. Would you say Mario Odyssey?
Sure. Yeah.
Whichever one it was you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
that like teeters between platform and open world, whereas Minecraft teeters between sandbox and open world.
Right.
I think the part that doesn't make it sandbox is survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in creative, it's just a sandbox.
Yes. I think there's limited sandbox elements when you're in survival.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. They've done a lot to make it easier to like do things like build your house and stuff like that. That you would usually get in creative or with mods just in vanilla survival. But in a way that still makes it feel lore accurate. I'm not gonna say realistic.
It's weird because like there is this whole kind of mythos and philosophy with Minecraft. It's just none of it is usually explicitly stated anywhere.
Minecraft is just such a breed of its own. There's like any game that is got that survival crafting aspect to it has taken elements from Minecraft at this point.
Yep.
Like Minecraft is the original poster.
Nox, you've been playing through Arceus a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, I've taken a little bit of a break, but yes.
And you can see all the literal Minecraft influences that have been brought into that game. It's Pokemon, but like for some reason you have to go craft things.
Oh yeah, I hate it. And they don't give me enough money to just buy it.
That
I'm
becomes
here.
less of a problem as time goes on, trust me.
Well, it's a problem right now.
I
actually
nonetheless.
Have you gotten to the third area?
I don't believe no.
The one with the big ocean.
No.
Okay. Once you get there, space-time distortions will start popping up. And you can literally farm those for money.
Sick. Good to know.
This sounds fun. There was a game that I was gonna play through before we recorded this podcast, but I didn't have time. Give me a second. Someone say something else while I go look for it. Can't remember.
I'll give you a gripe about Arceus. I think it has bad map design.
It's a really good game. I will give some super props too.
I'm enjoying it.
Like, there are so many. Game Freak would actually make phenomenal, near perfect games if they just took the time to actually finish them. And it sounds like they're finally starting to understand that, which is good. Scarlet and Violet still has performance issues, like major performance issues. And Arceus was a charm just because it wasn't really like, it was kind of a main series game, but not really. It wasn't part of the normal release schedule, and they just kind of dropped it like almost out of nowhere. And
no, I had a gripe with it because in the second part of the world that opens up, you get to a point where there's like one side of the river and then the other side of the river.
Yep.
And there's a few it's the second like boss that you fight and you throw the little pouches at them.
Yeah.
But getting there and then beyond that to the further parts of that, I traipsed around that area for like 6 in-game days. Could not figure out how to get on top of a mountain. The map is actually, it's not even the level or like the world design that's bad, it's the map. Their map is bad.
The map is not great because it doesn't really show.
Trying to elevation and paths forward, it's really tough. Anyway, we said some things. Tyler, what do you got?
I was gonna say really quick, just that gets better as the game goes on, because they actually start to give you different ways of interacting with the map.
Perfect. So it's a little stagnant. We're like 8 hours in.
So you've gotten Weird Deer and you can ride around.
Oh yeah, and I've got the digging bear.
And now you have Ursaluna. The next one you get is for swimming. Then you get one for climbing up walls. Then you get one for flying.
Oh, so you get more ways to traverse the map.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been nice, but
it is a little rough up front though, because the map is quite large.
And probably designed with the idea in mind that you have access to traverse it in whatever way you want.
Yep. There's also like the fast travel in that game is okay, but it's not great.
Oh, I really enjoyed that part. I've had no problems.
Getting to the other camps?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had issues with it, but
I also like when I'm running from a Pokemon, the minute that it's chasing me, the minute I don't have the red exclamation point anymore, I'm just like, leave. Go home.
Taco, this
It's
is
not
also
as
the game where the Pokemon attack you.
No one tell Bandito that we're getting a Dune game.
We're
We're
getting a
getting
Dune game?
We're getting a Dune game.
Why did I think I did know this?
Third person open world survival craft.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That'll probably be pretty fun. She says that she's never seen a Dune movie. Someday.
The only reason I haven't seen the
He's
second
not
one is
gay.
because it's one of those things where I'm like, I need to sit down and I need to watch it, and I need to do it in like whatever the best possible frame of reference is. So it's like I need to be on a 4K monitor. I need to have the best sound experience humanly possible.
I like Zendaya and Timothy Chalamet, so I'll probably like it.
Gosh, you're giving me Benadryl cucumber patch flashbacks.
Oh my god.
Same vibe. I'm just really glad I delivered that straight face. That I've been sitting there for like
Brain
10
rotten
seconds.
to the core.
Who's ready?
Sorry, we were derailing you, Taco.
Yeah, what do you Sigmas think about this new Dune game? No, fucking A. Oh my god. No, Pacific Drive. I wish I could tell you guys more about it, but I purposely have kept myself in the dark. But I will read what is online about it. But it's basically a first-person driving survival game with your car as your only companion. Navigate a surreal reimagining of the Pacific Northwest as face supernatural dangers as you venture into the Olympic exclusion zone. But basically,
so
it's just like, yeah.
What is it called? Pacific.
It's Haunted
Pacific
Forest
Drive.
Mad Max.
Yeah, but like if you were in the pinewood forests of fucking Oregon.
Yeah, Haunted Forest.
Yeah. Yeah, but like your car is like very sci-fi, and you like upgrade it and stuff.
Not like post-apocalyptic.
Really, no, yeah, it's not post-apocalyptic. It was like you were driving and got sucked into a government exclusion zone because of a supernatural anomaly, and you have to survive fighting off the anomalies.
I actually forgot there is a Mad Max game that I heard good things about.
Oh, I played the shit out of the Mad Max game, like the original, like that came out.
The one
I say
Fury
original,
Road.
but the one that came out like 12 years ago.
God, Fury Road. Yeah, it was like 13 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah.
No,
the
it wasn't
new
quite that
movie
long.
is good.
It was a
Furiosa?
while ago.
I'd like to check it out.
Furiosa is good.
Mad Max has a special place in my heart.
I just watched the new Mad Max movie. Except it was called Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't know why they changed it.
We can't talk about it yet. I'm sorry.
Listen.
Closest movie theater is like 100 miles away.
Listen, it's so good. That explains why you had no comment towards my quote earlier.
Yeah, I'm
before
sorry.
we started filming. No,
Well,
Mad Max.
Pacific Drive is like new.
Yeah. I have 34 hours in Mad Max. When did this game come out? Take a little look.
I'm trying to think. Here. Fury Road, I think, came out in 2015.
Do you want to guess when this Mad Max game came out?
I'm going to say 2016.
Nope.
Is it older than that?
2015.
2015. September.
Came out the same year? Okay.
Yep.
Never even heard of it.
Really?
Ready to say it again?
The fighting mechanic is some of the best I've ever experienced in a game. It's just for whatever reason, every dodge feels like you're doing it. Every swing feels like you're swinging. Every gunshot feels like you're pulling the trigger. I don't know why, but it was just.
It got kind of that Souls-like feel to it.
Yeah, but like if you had 10,000 hours in Dark Souls and you knew exactly what you were doing every single time, it's just everything just lines up perfectly, even on the higher difficulties. It's not a terribly difficult game.
Yeah.
But there's from what I remember, there was something very satisfying about it, because I remember it being a game I was quite addicted to. Because the family went on vacation when I got the game, and I was only like 2 hours in. And I brought my entire computer to play it.
Good family vacation.
Yes. We're in Tahoe, and we got snowed out, so I kind of lucked out with it. Yeah.
So clearly we have a lot of fondness for a lot of open world games. Are there times do we have more examples of ones that don't actually accentuate it?
That like we just don't like.
Well, even not just ones we don't like, but things where it was like, man, that just felt awful. Like the open world aspects to it.
I don't know, let's go look at my least played games on Steam real quick.
I mean, I don't know if I have any specific ones at the top of my head. Maybe I'll think of one as I'm talking. I'm not the biggest open world person
Mhm.
in general, but I've spoken on how I also am not the biggest single player game experience person. So that also comes hand in hand in that. Uh I think part of it for me is open world games. I don't love. I understand that there is a balance to find between shoving the player down a linear path that you want them to follow and letting them figure it all out for themselves. And you're walking that line consistently in these games of like
Yeah.
giving agency, but also showing, like, having a story, having a plot, a coherent, greater story.
Mhm.
I get so frustrated and bored by open world games that give too much freedom if they're not also sandbox, because that's where like Minecraft kind of
Mhm.
teeters the other way, where it's sandbox enough where it doesn't matter. But I think of games like The Forest. I know there's a bigger plot there. I know there's more going on. And I know that's part of the fun is the mystery. I have never been able to stick around long enough to figure out what that is.
Mhm.
Because there's too much what's going on, too many things to do. So
So
that's why
actually, you
I
know what?
struggle with open world.
I kind of want to talk about that real
Please
quick
do.
because now that you mention it, I the Forest specifically, not including Sons of the Forest, just the Forest. We'll take a look at this. That was an indie game, right?
Hmm.
It was developed by
Mhm.
a newer developing company. Um, and the world was released piece by piece because it was released as like an alpha and then a beta. That was the big start of like the early release. So I remember watching like PewDiePie and Markiplier. They played it when it first came out, and there was just like all this dumb stuff. And then every time they had a new major update, all the major YouTubers would go back to it for a couple of episodes, and you'd see all the new stuff. And so it was like for people who started playing it when it first came out, you were introduced to everything piece by piece. Whereas someone like you, who's like, okay, it's a finished game now. Not only that, but they have a second one now. There is so much content to consume. You need a tour guide of somebody who's played it before.
Mhm.
And so I kind of wonder if like that's harmful to the replayability of open world games or even the longevity of them.
I would say in general, like that's something that has plagued a lot of open world games overall. I mean, one of the reasons why Minecraft has a tutorial now.
Mm-hmm.
It's got those little hints that pop up, and it's like, hey, you should go do this. Maybe you should go try
That
this.
had that for a minute though, but yeah.
They've had it for a minute, but the reason that's there is because too many people were trying the game and going, I don't know what to start. How do I do
Yeah,
things?
There
I
are a good amount of people on the server that'll play GTA.
Yeah.
I own the game. Even with tour guides, that open world game is so incredibly overstimulating and so
that
incredibly
that's
complicated
another example
that
where
like
it,
I have
yeah,
no interest in learning it because it's so much.
I think that's actually an example where overall it's fairly well done.
no, I
Yeah, and
think it's
I
well
don't want to
done,
take
but
a I don't want to hit on I don't want to put a say that I'm against GTA. I genuinely don't know.
Not
It's
taking
in
it to mean that way.
it's intimidating.
Yeah. Um, but I will give props to where it's due because one of the things they've done is like as the years have gone on and they've added more content to the game. Well, here's a shop front that's been here since day one that you could never interact with, but now you can.
but see, that's exactly what I'm talking about with the Forest. Except
Oh
it's
yeah.
with a major gaming studio did a full release game and then slowly added stuff to it. I mean, there's so many jokes have been made about how Grand Theft Auto 5, like all the players are just little hamsters, and we're just being drip fed DLC until they finally are like, all right, well, we gotta make a sixth one.
We could do a whole episode on the
Right,
monetization
drip
of
feeding
GTA
DLC. Yeah. No, but I think it's the same thing for Nox. Is like, even when I come back to it, I'm like, holy shit, they added a lot of stuff, and I've been playing since it was on the 360, and I pre-ordered it. You know, and it's
Yeah.
like they added, because they added the whole, like when online came around, and then it was just like, okay, you can do pretty much. Oh, these two people from these two side characters from the storyline.
Mhm.
Yeah, you get to do missions for them.
Yeah.
That's it. And then it slowly became, okay, now you're doing missions for this person, and then you're doing missions for this person. Uh-oh, we're doing missions for Franklin now. You can now own a motorcycle club. You can own a whole drug ring.
Yeah, I was going to say the amount of things that they've added to that game is staggering.
But it's because they made everything so expensive and the way to make money too hard, too grindy, that they had to add so many ways to make money for people to enjoy the game and stick around. Because nobody buys shark cards.
I was going to say that I think the only people who really have played through even a vast majority are the people who are like, man, I really want to go all in on this, or they're making content about it.
Right.
Because there's just no way otherwise.
Yeah. Minecraft is even starting to get there. I'll be 100% honest with you guys.
We've were you here for excuse me, you were here for our last Minecraft discussion and how Bedrock has really kind of been the way that they've been pushing things.
Yeah, that's just because I think Microsoft has more of a grab on it, which we can save for a later episode because I have so much stuff to speak on about Destiny. I found some news out the other day that kind of blew my mind. A little preview
Destiny's
of it.
A very expensive game.
Activision was holding Bungie back from ripping off users. Let that one sink in. That almost sounds like a paradox.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. How bad of a company do you have to be that Activision has to hold you back from ripping off users?
I think if we want to try and wrap it up, what are some ways that we'd like to see open world get restrained? Like one of the first things that jumps to my mind is Star Wars Outlaws just came out, or it comes out this weekend for us.
I have no interest in playing it anymore.
Yeah, and the reviews have been awful.
Yeah, horrible.
And a lot of it seems to be revolved around the fact that it was sold as this open world game that had a lot of like GTA 5 mechanics.
And all the mechanics are just so boxy and garbage.
Yeah, and one of the big things has been like, yeah, it's open world, but there's not a lot to do.
Right.
I think when it comes to single player campaigns, open world can have a lot of benefits. I think Pokemon has proven that. I think that in some ways Jedi Survivor has proven that. I think that there are plenty of good single player games where open world does help it. But if you really want to focus on your story, it's better to be linear. Our last episode we did on Titanfall 2, which that is a linear ass game. You go from point A to point B constantly. But it's still a great game.
Yep. Halo's the same way.
Halo's still good.
Yep. Most of them. I'm not gonna say all of them.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, I had something I wanted to add to that, but you go first.
I quick looked up Star Wars Outlaws because, to be so honest, I didn't know this existed.
Yeah, it looks so cool, huh?
How have you missed it?
I don't know. It's not like I'm under a rock for Star Wars things.
Yeah.
But I knew the minute that Acolyte season 2 got that did get renewed. Big Sad had some hopes for that. Anyway.
Yeah.
I was laughing because I know, Tyler, you weren't here for our last episode, but Zach, if you remember in our Titanfall episode, one of the things I said that I hated about first person or single player games and why this Titanfall 2 was so good in my opinion. Do you remember what I said the one thing I hated so much was and what I wanted to get rid of? What I thought was boring? Stealth.
Yeah.
Stealth.
Oh, yeah.
Get
You don't want
rid
crouching in games.
Get rid of stealth. It's boring and it's a stupid mechanic and I hate it. The first thing on this Forbes review for Star Wars Outlaws, in terms of they start with the bad, the first thing, way too much stealth. I will not be buying this game. That is all I needed to know. That
Actually,
and then
I'm
the
happy you
second
pointed
bullet
that out.
point. The second bullet point is
That's my gripe with the Spider-Man.
Tyler, you have something
insta
to say,
fail
but
stealth.
I want to come back to the stealth.
Yeah. I'll set you up. No, I was gonna say back to what you were saying, Zach, earlier.
Mhm.
I don't think that all open world games should like have some sort of limit on it, because I
Mhm.
believe that there are two types of players in the world. There are people who want the hand holding, and there are
Mhm.
people who want to learn by failure. Dark Souls and Elden Ring are all great examples of that. They're open world, but you only learn by dying.
Yeah.
I think like with the Forest and Sons of the Forest, the reason why I haven't played as much as Sons of the Forest as I have the Forest is because I knew a lot about the Forest and I was okay. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of horror aspect to it that I just can't mentally psych myself out of. So I don't want to die. Also, some with Sons of the Forest, when you die, you eventually get stuck in a loop of death, and it just kind of sucks. That's my one gripe with that. Anyway, but as far as stealth goes, Spider-Man, the PlayStation games, fucking fantastic.
Mhm.
I think the game would be so much better if they made the MJ and Miles missions just fucking cinematics. Thank
What does
you.
it have to do with stealth?
Because they're all stealth missions because they have fucking no powers. So all you're doing is stealthing around and getting exposition for the
It's so
story.
boring.
It's
Stealth is
so fucking
boring.
boring.
Okay,
That was my only gripe with The Last of Us. Is The Last of Us is a lot of holding your Molotov cocktails and stealthing around and
Just
throwing them
hoping
at
to God
zombies.
that you don't hear that clicking.
Yes, and that's all you do. And that's great and all, and it's a great story, and I think that's what I remember so fondly about it is the story is so good.
Mm-hmm.
But God, playing some of those passes are so infuriating. It's
None of you guys have
boring.
played Days Gone, huh?
No.
No.
Oh
But
God, that's
Zach's
such
been
a
holding his thought, and I feel that.
yeah.
I
Sorry,
interrupted.
Zach. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say I can't believe I haven't brought it up, but Horizon Zero Dawn does stealth
That's a
right.
lot of stealth.
There is a lot of stealth in that game, but it's optional.
Oh, so I can just go in swinging?
You can go in swinging. You got to
Perfect.
deal with consequences.
Days
But one of
Gone
the first
is
things they
another
do is they show
example
you
of that.
here's how you do stealth. Here's one mission where you do have to do it.
It's fine if it's there sometime. If it's the mechanic you're leaning on for your entire story to get around the map because your character's just not that cool. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no, it's great because it's like here's your first mission. You have to do the stealth. After that, here you go. Here's a stick. Go.
Days Gone is like that.
Literally.
Where like Days Gone teaches you, they're like, oh hey, here's a horde of like 1,000 zombies. This is how you stealth. I think it's great because the first time the mission where they teach you how to stealth is like that, where there's like I don't know 100 something zombies, and they put you through it. You do the whole stealth and everything like that, and then as soon as you fail, they go, all right, now you're on to the training lesson of how the fuck do you run away? Because you're not gonna if you've got the ammo, sure, you can definitely try. But as you keep like pushing back and stuff like that, the other little roaming zombies that are around the open world, they're gonna become part of that horde, and then it just
That's
cancels
funny.
each other out. But
That's a good
it's
tutorial.
crazy. Yeah, and the game is actually fantastic. I don't know why it doesn't have like a bigger following still, because in a lot of ways it is very advanced for the time that it came out. And even nowadays, the fact that you could just be driving down a road on this open world map and then turn a corner and just see a horde of zombies that goes as far as the render view, and you're like, every one of these things are entities that can be killed. And you're like, there is a sense of dread that comes over you as a player where you're like, oh, I'm fucked. Everything I've collected, I'm about to reset back at spawn. And I think it's a fantastic game. But yeah.
I'm just gonna wrap up my thoughts real quick. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
I think actually, the more I think about it, Horizon might be like the perfect open world game in a lot of ways, because the open worldness is not just to be like, hey, look, we have beautiful environments, which that game really does. Don't get me wrong. But like every even when things don't have a lot going on, there's still details, and the goal of it being open world isn't to be like to make it confusing or to be like, yeah, there's just 25 bajillion things that you need to go do, even though there is quite a lot you can do. But the map is well designed, and you do, if you want to straight line that story, you can absolutely just run from point A to point B. It feels like if you want to wander off the path, you can, and you will get rewarded for it.
And see, I think that's where a lot of games have taken from, like Skyrim, is like they looked at an open world game like that and they're like, wow, this was like, big for its time. But what's the big thing that's wrong here? If you fuck up, you have to go back and do something else before you can come back. Lightly. When the first time I played that game, I was too young to understand what I was doing, and I was just kind of following the serotonin and wherever it led me. One thing I remember was I went through that game. I had 30-something hours in that game, and I was talking with my cousin, and she goes, "What do you think about the dragons?" And I went, "This game has dragons?" I did all of the side quests. I had already gone through the Dark Brotherhood, all the werewolf stuff. I did the whole fucking werewolf fight. And then I didn't even know that there's a whole Siege on Whiterun mission. I was like, holy shit. But no, like there are, I think what newer open world games have taken is that they're using the map to its advantage, especially like Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone, and even some sense like Minecraft and stuff like that, is if you can go about the same mission 100 different ways purely by where you place your character. And you can be under level and still go through it if you're really good at stealth or if you're really good at parrying. You don't need all this fancy stuff if you can abuse other mechanics of the game. And I think Skyrim didn't have enough mechanics to abuse, so it kind of made the open world game feel linear.
Speech zero.
Are you No, but I mean, like, yeah, when I went back, it was in that save after I talked with her about that. I left we left their house that night. I went, immediately got on Skyrim, found the main mission, and went and played it. I could 2-hit dragons already. I was like done. I was at like level 40 or 50. Like, these were level 4 or 5 missions, and I was just like, oh, I should probably restart and get the full experience.
Oops.
But yeah, no.
You did it your way.
Yes.
Any wrap-up thoughts from you, Knox?
I enjoy a good open world game when they're done right, and I don't have a perfect definition.
Just gonna leave us with that.
Just no stealth.
I hate stealth. Please give me enough instructions so that I don't feel dumb, because I will not listen half the time anyway. And I'll just traipse around, and if I get bored, I'm never opening the game back up. So I don't think I'm the target. I don't think I'm the target audience. But that's okay.
I am the hand-holding audience.
Yeah, when you were like, some audiences like to be handheld, me,
Yeah.
and some audiences like to die
There's
to
nothing
learn.
wrong with
Not
that.
me.
That's why we have a bajillion different game developers.
Right. That's why things like Titanfall 2 are perfect single player games for me. Because it's really cool, it's well done, it's got cool mechanics, there's no stealth, thank God. And it's linear. I knew exactly what I was doing the entire time. I had no questions over what my current objective was. Also, just put your current objective on the screen. That would solve a lot of problems. Don't make me listen and then remember. I
Yeah,
don't sit
Skyrim was
here to do
my first experience with
memory
the
recall,
journal.
to be honest. Here to have fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, my ADHD ass can't do open world, but sure can do Overwatch over and over and over and over again. So,
That's serotonin and Hearthstone over and over.
oh my god,
and over and
I'm
over.
already up at 5,500 this season.
I got
this sounds like we should go to our open world, real world.
Open world, please.
Yeah.
Our open world, real world.
Let's do
Yeah.
our open world out.
Someone go first. I have to go. I have to grab the thing.
You have
grab
to grab the thing?
Yeah.
Zach, would you like to go or do you want me to go?
I have to think about what the hell I'm going to talk about. I mean,
I know what I'm about.
Why don't you go? Because I gotta think for a second.
Nox is going to be upset with me
because
she's about to find out that I am writing another D&D game.
Can I be in
Another one?
Please?
I mean, you can. It's a little bit different though. I'm not using 5e.
Oh, really?
Okay. I'm using the Fate system. Because I am designing a storyline with pre-made characters for all my players to choose from that's based off the Jujutsu Kaisen world. And what that allows me to do is like it'll allow me to basically make the player feel like they're watching a movie that they're deciding what happens. Because of the way the Fate system works. So you have like, rather than having like points towards like your perception and all that stuff, basically it's just you have skills and troubles, and those skills and troubles can be like opened up at any time, and they can be opened up by the DM, or they could be open, or the GM, or they could be opened up by you, whatever you want to do, depending on how the characters are designed. So what I could do with that is like, you know, if a character has some sort of secret technique, I don't have to let the player know that their character has that secret technique until I'm ready to tell them, because it's ready in the storyline or because they did something really cool in the game. And that's how they'll be rewarded. Nice. I'm very excited. It's very early. I have to learn an entire new game system I've never played.
It's based on Jujutsu Kaisen. Does that mean I have to watch that?
You will probably have to watch it. This is how we get it.
As long as this campaign actually runs.
I know. And I have so many conversations. I have so many things to say about the last one. Because I still
it better still
but
run at some point. I don't care who it's with.
I can't find. I gotta find another. It'll probably end up being with Stryker, the guy we play Hearthstone with, because I really want to have the whole dual DM thing. That was what the whole that's what the whole like storyline was written about, and it's trying to find a DM that I actually would enjoy doing a game with. I have yet to find one.
That's fair.
So,
when that gets off the ground eventually, my shit's still ready. I still like my character.
Yeah, I'll keep the server around and everything. But I probably won't do the Jujutsu Kaisen one for a little bit, because I got to do some serious writing. I have to write. Basically, I'm just going to make like 8 or 10 characters and go, you choose. The rest become NPCs.
Well, that'll give me time to, I guess, watch Jujutsu Kaisen. Dick.
Yes. 2 seasons and a movie.
That's not so bad.
No. And then next year it'll be 3 seasons and a movie.
Another movie?
No. The same movie. It
Heard.
would otherwise it'd be
Seasons
3
and a movie.
seasons and 2 movies.
6 seasons and a movie.
6 seasons and a movie.
That's a
I've
game.
been seeing
Have
so
you played
many...
6 seasons in a game?
No.
It's free on Steam.
Oh my god.
Knox, what do you got going on?
Yeah, what do you got going on before I go down a deeper rabbit hole?
I've been crocheting again,
Oh.
and I made a thing.
Sorry.
It's a
I was
sleepy
wondering what
side
that little critter was doing in the background.
Yeah, he was sitting on my couch. He's a little
Very
lopsided,
nice.
but we don't talk about that. He got dropped on his head as when he was a kid.
We're all a little lopsided.
But I made this side. This is probably the coolest thing I've ever made. It looks really good. It is shaped really good. Structural integrity is fine, which is good for me. Mine tend to fall apart because I don't really know how to sew them together. So we're learning. He's got a cute tail. He's awesome. He's awesome. He's great. I love him. Great. If you go this is available on Etsy. The pattern is. Highly recommend. Super easy to follow. She also has a sleepy Snorlax pattern that I am working on back there at some point too. The other one I've been working on, I didn't grab him because he's fragile and in pieces, but he's right there. That's Appa. Appa's hard. Appa's giving me problems. Everything is like crocheted. I have questions for the person who wrote this pattern. The big brown like stripe over his head onto his back that has like the little spines that come out. You can kind of see it. It's laying on top of him right now. Instead of crocheting that into the white, like alongside when you were doing his body with like just switching the color, we have crocheted an entire extra piece that you have to sew on top. So that is becoming an issue in terms of size, placement, sewing. So there's a shot he looks awful by the end of this, to be so real, but we'll find out. It is funny though, when you do his hair, you basically just made a hat for the head and you just put the hat on. He's got his hair. So it was fun. I'll keep you updated on Appa when he's done, because in theory he'll be done tonight, but we'll see if I have the fucking patience.
Clip that one too.
You want really ChatGPT to replace me?
She's like, well, I mean, I'm reading off ChatGPT right now, but
gosh, for my real world, I haven't had much going on. I've been rewatching a lot of old VFX artists react videos. If nobody's checked that out, like they're here on YouTube.
Old ones?
And I've been going back through the catalog and just watching all sorts of ones all over the place.
I just watched one where they went over Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Today.
I think if you have any interest in VFX, if you have any interest in film, if you have any interest in After Effects or Houdini or Maya or any of those programs, like they're definitely worth at least checking out. They're good people who are talented in their craft, and even when the results aren't something that they're always, they're not people who are like, I'm making photoreal results all the time, but they understand the craft well enough to explain it to you and not feel like you're getting talked down to, which is always awesome. It's just, it's a good YouTube channel. It's a really, really solid YouTube channel.
Especially
and also even some of the other stuff they make is great.
Yeah, when they bring on people who like were actually there and they're reviewing their artwork essentially, and they're like they're just like, how do you think I did this? They're like, I think you did it this way, or I think you did it this way, and he's like, all of you were fucking wrong. I did it this way.
And some of them are like people that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Like, they have people from Weta, they have people from ILM who come on, but they've gotten Seth Rogen came on once. That was a really good episode. And specifically, I'm not going to remember the name of the movie that he was doing, but he was basically playing two versions of himself. They had one
sure
with Tim
it wasn't
Miller.
Adam Sandler?
No, it was definitely Seth Rogen. They had one with Tim Miller where he would talk about things like how he did Deadpool and how he did Terminator Dark Fate. He also runs Blur, which is a VFX studio, which if you've ever played the Halo 2 remastered, He's the guy who runs the studio that was in charge of doing that.
Cool.
Just a really, really solid channel to check out. And even if you do like doing filmmaking in any way, shape, or form, there are things you can learn just to be like, cool, if I'm going to do something, this would be a better way to do it. A lot of
That's
value.
sick. Yeah. All right,
Before
Tyler,
we wrap
you
up,
wanna
before we wrap up, Tyler, I want to officially welcome you on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surprise.
Remember
Like-
we were joking how we're so glad he wasn't season 1 death? Look how far we've come.
Yeah, actually, don't we have a clip of that? Can we put that up?
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pull it for YouTube short.
Yeah. Hunt that shit down. Put it up. Right here.
I'm not pulling it up for the episode. Sorry.
Wasn't that so funny when we talked about that? And now look where we are. It's like those
No,
season
but, like,
1,
you
season 2
made
Family
it.
Guy cutaways.
We've been talking to you about joining us for a little bit now, and we're glad to make it happen. We're looking forward to a lot of great episodes with you now.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
And,
just excited
this is
because
also,
I'm taking up some of the workload off of them.
I mean, a little bit, but we don't need to go into that. This is our last episode for the season.
Yay!
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, season 3's done.
I mean, yeah, I knew that as.
We're still bringing him up to speed. We promise.
It was funny. I commented on that today too. I was like, "Damn, you guys already gone through like 35 episodes." Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't say a damn thing about it. This being the
No.
last
It is crazy. When I was on our YouTube page, just looking at all our catalog, and it was like, "Oh, you did this episode 7 months ago," and I was like, "I've been doing this for 7 months." Like, I know that's such a short amount of time in the grand scheme of things, but like, I feel like we've been doing this for like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I
Zach's
feel
like,
we've
this
been
has
doing it for a
aged
long
me
time.
10 years.
A little bit.
He's like,
So anyway,
every
hit that
president comes with
subscribe
no gray in
button.
his hair.
Yeah, right.
After 4 years, he's completely bald.
Hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. And by us, I mean Zach and his stress levels. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, it helps all
Also-
three of us now.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. And you know what? Bring back the icebreaker. Comment what your favorite one was, or
Yeah.
no, what was it? Comment what
Open
what
world
open
game.
world you would want to be in for a day and
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know. We read them.
We
We
do.
Zach
do.
reads
We
them.
read all of our comments.
Yeah, I gotta start reading them.
Welcome to the team.
I was gonna say, get ready to get roasted.
Yay!
Why don't you send us off?
Take us out.
Okay. Well,
We mean with the script, not like literally.
No, it was just the screen light up as he was switching to the Google Docs page.
Oh yeah, right. It's just like, no. I mean, you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna go off script for this one.
All
Oh,
right.
God.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me in my new podcast, guys. Zach Knox. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having
Talking
us.
about my ideas and everything, and
Mhm.
writing the coattails of my jokes.
Of course.
In all serious note, I'm ecstatic to join, and this is going to be a great time. And I'm so glad that I'm joining on the last fucking episode of the season. But you know what? We're 2 for 2. I've closed out the last 2 seasons now. So, and every single one has been a fantastic exit. Let's see how we're going to open up and close out season 3, shall we? No, if you want more of us, we're always in the Snowflake Sanctuary server. You can come hang out, play video games with us anytime. Or just, you know what, come out here and chat and find new people. But other than that, you guys got anything else you want to say? Any last one-liners?
No.
All right, you awkward kids, let's close out the season with one last wave. Bye!
Bye.